Hi, the much awaited GDP figures were released, and we understand that in the first quarter, April June quarter of 21-22 financial year, the GDP has registered a dramatic surge of 20.1%. The much heard of comment on this is that it is because of low base effect. Of course, it is, because the GDP growth is compared with the corresponding period in the previous fiscal. Now in this case, if we just look at the data in 1920, 2021 and 21-22 financial years for the first quarter, we understand that relative to first quarter of the previous fiscal, the GDP has registered a growth of 20.1%. But relative to the first quarter of 2019-20, it registered a contraction of 9.2%. So that way, we can call it's because of low base effect. However, what I feel personally is, if we look at the GDP trajectory right since the first quarter of 2021, we understand that there has been a sequential improvement in the GDP growth. Starting from a contraction of 24% in about approximate, of course, in the first quarter of 2021, to 7.5% contraction, then moving on to 0.4% growth, and then 1.6% growth, and then now it has registered about 20.1% growth, which is a phenomenal. And of course, we can understand that some of the major sectors are gradually limping back to normalcy. There is no second thought of it. So the economy has exhibited a reasonable degree of resilience, and there is a tangible recovery, though we cannot call it V-shape. Now, some of the sectors like trade, hotels, tourism and construction, manufacturing, they have all registered dramatic uptick in the first quarter corresponding to the figures in the previous fiscal. But of course, many of them are still below the levels of figures reported in the first quarter of pre-pandemic period. So whatever it is, so that way, there is a tangible recovery. Now, as far as the future trajectory, near future trajectory of this GDP is concerned, I feel that much depends on the way the vaccination program gets succeeded and the health infrastructure gets ramped up, because of the likely projections of a third wave and the likely lethality that may be unleashed by it. No doubt the vaccination program has gained an awesome pace, and if the nation is going to complete 70% of its population fully vaccinated as projected by the data earlier, naturally by the year end, the landscape of economy may be more fascinating, and that's how we shall look at it. And not only that, one more important aspect is sectors like agriculture, forestry and fishing, they have registered recovery, surpassing the figures reported in the pre-pandemic period. So all in all, we see that there is a growth, no doubt. And one more important point is, actually if we look at, or if we make a comparison of the first quarter of GDP in 2021 and 21-22, we understand that in value terms, the recovery is just less than 6 lakh crores. So there is a recovery, but it should have been much more. And we want to take certain things into consideration. In May itself, as projected by an international rating agency, there were losses to a tune of 60,000 crores per week. So in May itself, if the figures are to go by, the nation lost economy to an extent of about 2.4 lakh crores. So we feel, and we must understand, that the nation cannot afford to lose that much of economy just because inadequate health infrastructure. So there is every need for the health infrastructure to be ramped up, and we feel that the nation is going to trace out a coveted trajectory in the period ahead. Let's hope so. Good day.